This game is not Jesus.
I understand the confusion, and I hate to have a contentious opinion, but excellent narrative and unique gameplay do not signify the second coming of Christ much. So, Undertale snuck into the Steam marketplace like a church mouse at a gerbil orgy. However, it doesn't take long for the internet to catch it with its trousers down, and of course, once it did, the internet collectively wanted to fuck it proper, to quote the developer. The story is, you play as an emoticon otherkin. There you go. So what happens is... Yeah, I know this is a common critics cop-out comment, but come on! The less you know about the story going in, the better it is, which, for a narrative-based game, this really puts inappropriately sized objects up the arse of the amount of material I have to talk about, but being the anomalous intellect that I am, I'm sure I can manage. Now, what ultimately makes this game so great is its, writing? Is that the word for it? I really don't know. I mean, yeah, the story is tight and the characters are enjoyable, but come on, you can get that shit from a book, and who reads those anymore, daddy-o? No. This is what the medium was made for. This is the kind of shit that could only work in an interactive format, and I'm not talking about its branching narrative. I mean the fact that the concept of a fourth wall is just something that the developer may have heard of from the vague whispers of a viciously buggered church mouse. I mean, with stuff going on like being with... which provides the perfect segue to the gameplay and combat, which is somehow a perfect mix between Final Fantasy and Ikaruga. But while those games are mostly concerned with slaughtering God's innocent creatures by the thousands, Undertale encourages you to do the exact opposite of that. And thank fuckasy knobs for that. I mean, I'm always up for a spot of the old ultra-violence. However, a game that actively forces you, well, not forces, it's more like... with a massive bone to seek the diplomatic route is rather refreshing, and it leads to some of the bestest and loveliest of the comedic moments. However, really, to be honest, the humour of this wasn't as strong as I was expecting it to be. I mean, there were a few laugh-out lol moments from time to time, but I'd say on the whole, it's more charming than funny. I mean, except for that total mind screw of a that motherfucking Daisy! But, you know, speaking of audible sound waves... But sadly, there comes a time where we do need to discuss the game's weaker points. And this is that time. Such as the puzzles, which I found to be really kind of lame, really. There are also a few UI issues that I found to be a real thumbtack in my urethra. And by that I mean they were mildly annoying. And also, that thing at the start about the Jesus thing... yeah, I know this has nothing to do with the game itself, but, if you could just calm your tiddles, skittles, please. Just Christ on a crutch. It isn't a beached whale that will only survive if you keep salivating over it. Just ease up a smidgen. Just a little bit. You might scare people away with that attitude. But, yeah, apart from that, there ain't really much else to complain about. And I would be happy to label this to be a really fucking good game, and you should totally play it if you haven't already. Yes, stupid. If for any other reason but to support the developer. The one developer. Mr. Toby Fox. And to think that this colossus of emotional genius came from one person-ish is fucking amazing, and clearly comes from immense talent and years of receiving influence from the stuff that he loves, and creating his own passion project to pay homage to that influence, but at the same time becoming an entity in and of itself. And it's honestly inspiring for one such as myself who's interested in exploring other creative fields. However, when I imagine Mr. Fox, the image most predominant in my mind is him sitting on a mountain of money and fanboy pussy, flipping the double bird of the AAA industry because, oh, would you look at that? You can be successful without having to spend millions on a fucking 10-year franchise, or ringing it through a focus group of 12-year-olds who will ultimately turn it into a bland, inoffensive slurry to give it a broader appeal, but its attempts to please everyone will end up pleasing no one. And in the end, you just let the developers do what they do best. Oh, sorry, did I just go on an anti-capitalism rant again? Wow, I don't know why this keeps happening. So anyway, in closing, I give Undertale a man wearing a Jesus costume, and you think, he's a bit of a toss, but once you get to know him, it's just like, yeah, I guess that fits pretty well. Out of 10. Hello everybody still listening after the main content is finished. Seeing as the notorious TOG keeps, recommending people after his videos, I thought I'd give it a crack myself. So, this time I'm going to recommend Mr. Cellhead. he's got excellent editing, really. You'll watch his stuff and you'll think, oh, this is a lot like game theory, isn't it? But then you'll realize he hasn't got any of that Five Nights at Freddy's bollocks. This is fantastic! So, yeah, I recommend checking out his channel. Do that stuff. Do that. And, yeah. So, until next time, share this around. Go to Solez's channel. And, what's that thing? Oh, yeah. Charity, bye!